The Westerlands is a kingdom dominated by ragged hills, forests, rivers, and lakes. The Westerlands are bordered by Iron Man's Bay to the north, the Riverlands to the east, the Sunset Sea to the west, and the Reach to the south. A rich land, the Westerlands have fertile valleys that support agriculture, but the true wealth of the Westerlands lies beneath the earth. There are vast streams of gold and silver ores that run beneath the rugged hills of the Westerlands that granted vast amounts of wealth to the men that would eventually settle there. Unlike the Riverlands, the Westerlands have strong natural defenses for in the east, west, and south, where they border the Riverlands, the Sunset Sea, and the Reach respectively. There are high ragged hills that protect the heartland of the Westerlands. Before the coming of the first men, the Westerlands were occupied by the children of the forest and the giants, and the children resided in the forests, while the giants lived in many caves that pocket the hills of the Westerlands. However, when the first men migrated to the Westerlands, they forced the children and the giants out of their respective homes in order to get wood, farm the fertile land, and to construct their homes. During the Age of Heroes, the first men formed great houses in the Westerlands, some of which still exist in current events. Houses like Rain, Benefort, Broom, Crakehall, Plum, and Westerling all trace their roots to the Age of Heroes. And some of these houses like Rain, Benefort, and Westerling would even have petty kings throughout the ages. In this period, House Casterly of the Rock was the greatest house in the Westerlands. House Casterly is said to have been started by a huntsman named Corlos, son of Castor. It is written that Corlos lived in a small village that would later be the location of Lannisport. In the legends, it stated that Corlos left his village in the pursuit of a lion that had terrorized his people, and he would track down the beast to its lair. The caves in which the lion lived were at the base of a large rock hill that overlooks the Sunset Sea. Corlos killed the lion, but legend has it that he spared the cubs of the lion. This act of mercy supposedly pleased the old gods so much so that they even revealed the gold ore within the rock hill to Corlos. Corlos, son of Castor, then claimed the rock as his own, moved his entire family inside the caves, fortified the entrance, and then started to mine the gold ore. Thus, House Casterly of the Rock was formed, and throughout the centuries, they continued to mine the gold inside the rock, which made way for tunnels, channels, galleries, and chambers. In time, the Casterlys turned the rock into the mightiest castle in the whole of Westeros that could not easily be assailed. The rock itself is a formidable natural structure that is 2,000 feet high and 6 miles long from west to east. It's believed that many creatures lived at the base of the rock, including lions, wolves, and bears. It's possible that the children of the forest had also lived in the rock at some point, for there is a large twisted weirwood tree within the rock itself. The Casterlys must have come to worship the old gods, and this weirwood tree still exists in current events. The rock has a natural ship port on the Sunset Sea that had been carved out by the sea, and the Casterlys used it to dock their ships. Despite the incredible wealth they attained from the rock, the Casterlys never claimed the title of king, for they limited themselves to the title of Lord of the Rock. The rule of the Casterlys lasted for centuries, but the coming of Lan the Clever would change that. Lan was described as a cunning, handsome man that had blonde hair and green eyes. Due to the color of his hair, some maesters theorized that he was an Andal, but most scholars of the Citadel dismissed this idea, for Andals would not sail to Westeros for another 2,000 years. The most likely origin of Lan was the Reach, as he might have been one of the many grandsons of Garth Greenhand, though in some tales it's said that this cunning rogue claimed to be one of the many sons of Garth Greenhand. Lan the Clever is said to have weaseled the rock from the Casterlys, but how he did it remains a matter of contention. In some legends, Lan stole his way inside the rock during the night, and he would then sneak into the bedchambers of the Casterlys, causing all manner of mischief in the process. This action apparently then forced the Casterlys to abandon their castle in fear of some evil creatures that were haunting it, which thereby allowed the mischievous Lan to claim the rock for himself. Another more gruesome tale states that Lan led a pride of lions inside the rock, and they killed Lord Casterly and his sons. Lan then claimed Lord Casterly's wife, daughters, and castle as his own. In some other legends, Lan was in the service of a Lord Casterly, and during this period he impregnated one or all of Lord Casterly's daughters. When Lord Casterly died, the castle passed to his daughters, leaving Lan to claim it as his own. Most maesters hold the last tale with more credence than the first two, and it may be closer to what happened. Having the blood of the High King of the First Men might have been very prestigious in Westeros at this time, and since Lan was a grandchild of Garth Greenhand, this might have earned him a place of honor at the Rock, where he then took the opportunity to seduce the eldest daughter of Lord Casterly. Though it is possible that Lan might have killed Lord Casterly's sons, it's also possible that Lord Casterly had failed to sire sons of his own, and as such, his daughters stood to inherit the Rock after his death. And since Lan had impregnated one or all of his daughters, it became easy for him to take over the rule of the Rock after the Lord of the Rock died. After becoming the Lord of the Rock, Lan the Clever would establish House Lannister as the new ruling house of the Rock, but this led to the downfall of House Casterly in the process. In the early years of Lan's rule over the Rock and its domains, the Westerlands and Westeros as a whole was hit by the Long Night. Lan would fight side by side with his cousin Brandon the Builder, and with the other forces of men, the Great Other and his undead armies were defeated. Lan the Clever would then reclaim the Rock, where he went on to rule for 3 centuries. Despite his incredible wealth and power, Lan the Clever never proclaimed himself a king, for he kept the style of lord that the Casterlys had used for centuries before him. Lan is said to have sired many children, and some of whom left the Rock and settled in the same village Corlys Casterly had come from. These Lannisters quickly prospered, for the village had fertile lands and a natural harbor on the Sunset Sea. In time, the village grew to become a town, and later it developed into a city that would be called Lannisport. Lannisport would attract traders from all over the world of ice and fire, which made the Lannisters even more wealthy. But Lannisport's wealth attracted the attention of iron-born reavers as well, and these savages would periodically attack the city in order to raid for riches and women. Over the centuries, Lannisters would raise battlements to protect their city from the reavers, though this had varying success in keeping the ironborn out of Lannisport. Nonetheless, over time, Lannisport became the second largest city in the whole of Westeros after Old Town. All the power and the wealth the Lannisters accumulated eventually led them to declare themselves as kings, and Lorien Lannister is said to have been the first king of the Rock. King Lorien I sought to unite the whole of the Westerlands under his rule, and he sought to achieve this through diplomacy and war. The petty kings of House Reyne were the first to be subdued by the Lannisters after King Lorien married a princess from their house. This granted him the military power needed to assail the hooded king of House Benefort and his army of thralls. Though the war against the hooded king lasted decades, King Lorien, who was dubbed as the Lion, was eventually successful, which allowed the King of the Rock to expand his domains. Despite this great victory, Lorien I and his descendants were unable to unite the whole of the Westerlands under their rule until the coming of the Andals to the Westerlands. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a comment and subscribe to the channel.